Good morning. Thank you, Senator. Good morning to everybody. Happy Monday. Hope you had a restful, relaxing weekend. I certainly did. The hour of convening has arrived, and the Senate will now come to order. But ask that all unauthorized persons exit our beautiful, orderly chamber. Now it's my honor to recognize his good friend, the long-serving, well-disciplined rules chairman. No, I take that part back. Take that out of the journal. Chair recognizes the senator from the 53rd.
President, we will retract that too. I would agree. It's a beautiful day here at our state capitol, and I had a beautiful day leaving my house this morning. Chris Hayes in the pasture, 75 cattle roaming around, doing what I like to do, eating. And it was just a beautiful day. And outside we have fresh cut grass. The smell of that is just overtaking me because I love it in spring. A couple of things in history. 1968, Otis Redding is sitting on the dock of the bay. The man from Macon was a #1 hit, but unfortunately 3 months after his death. The senator from the 7th told me it's his favorite day is Children's Picture Book Day. It's one of his all-time favorite. And the senator from the 24th told me it's National Hot Tub Day. He likes to dress in his skivvies and go hot tubbing with his buddies. Mr. President, the journal's been read and found to be correct.
Thank you, Senator. I want to go back to those beautiful cattle that you always talk about. I feel like your herd has exponentially grown through this session. You early on referred to 25 and then 50, and I think I just heard you right. You said 75.
It's amazing. I had nothing to do with it, though, but yes.
Is there any embellishment, or is just the herd naturally growing? We turned your mic off. Is there objection to dispensing with the reading of the journal? The chair hears none, and the reading of the journal is dispensed with. The chair recognizes the senator from the 52nd.
Mr. President, the report of the Committee on Finance, which was reported to the Senate on March 25th, erroneously read HB 934 due pass by substitute LC 432415S. The committee report should have referenced LC 432417S. I ask for unanimous consent that the committee report be corrected to read House Bill 934 due pass by substitute LC 432417S.
Mr. Secretary, can you please read the caption?
House Bill 934, a bill by Representatives Leverett of the 33rd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 5A of Chapter 8 of Title 48 of the OCGA, relating to the Special District Mass Transportation Sales and Use Tax, so as to provide for the maximum amount of time frame for the collection of such tax when an intergovernmental agreement has been entered into between a county and municipality and for the purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Senator from the 52nd has asked for unanimous consent that the Senate Journal from the 35th Legislative Day be corrected so that the report from the Committee on Finance reads House Bill 934, due pass by substitute LC 432417S. Is there objection? The chair hears none, and the journal is corrected as requested. Mullis is not at his desk. So I'll just ask. Is there objection to the confirmation of the journal? The chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. All senators who have bills or resolutions, please bring them to the Secretary's desk at this time. Mr. Secretary, first reading of Senate bills and resolutions, please.
Senate Bill 640 by Senators Cowser of the 46 and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act to grant to residents of Clark County and the Clark County School District upon their homesteads an exemption of $10,000 from certain ad valorem taxes levied by the Unified Government of Athens, Clark, Georgia, and levied by, for, or on behalf of Clark County School District, approved April 13, 1992, as amended so as to increase the existing general and senior homestead exemptions from certain ad valorem taxes levied.
State and local government.
Senate Resolution 799 by Senators Anderson of the 43rd and others, a resolution commending the nation of Israel for its meaningful and mutually beneficial relationship with the United States and with the state of Georgia and for the
Rules.
purposes. Senate Resolution 800 by Senators Jackson of the 41st and others, a resolution recognizing and calling for unfettered humanitarian access for millions of people in the Tigray region of Ethiopia facing weaponized starvation.
Rules.
That completes the order, Mr. President.
For what reason does the senator from the 28th rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent that Senate Rule 3-1.2 be suspended to allow SB 641 to be read the first time and referred to committee.
Ms. Secretary, can you please read the caption of Senate Bill 641?
Senate Bill 641, a bill by Senator Brass of the 28th, a bill to be entitled an act to create the Chattahoochee Hills Convention and Visitors Bureau Authority, to provide for a short title, to provide for the appointment, terms, and removal of authority members, to provide for officers of authority, to provide for an executive director and employees, to provide for meetings, quorums, and majorities, to provide for the powers and duties of the authority, to provide for tax statutes of the authority, to limit liabilities, to provide for budget oversight, to authorize the use of hotel motel tax proceeds provided by the city of Chattahoochee Hills, and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Senator from the 28th has asked for unanimous consent that the rules be suspended for Senate Bill 641 to be read for the first time and referred to committee. Is there objection? The chair hears none, and the bill is referred to state and local government. Ms. Secretary, will you please read reports of standing committees?
Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Public Safety has under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: that House Bill 1004 do pass by substitute, House Bill 203 do pass, House Bill 1455 do pass, House Bill 1433 do pass, House Bill 1279 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Albers of the 56th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on State and Local Governmental Operations has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: that House Bill 1138 do pass, House Bill 1196 do pass, House Bill 1398 do pass, House Bill 1399 do pass, House Bill 1417 do pass, House Bill 1446 do pass, House Bill 1507 do pass, House Bill 1561 do pass, House Bill 1564 do pass, House Bill 1565 do pass, House Bill 1566 do pass, House Bill 1567 do pass, House Bill 1568 do pass, House Bill 1572 do pass, House Bill 1573 do pass, House Bill 1574 do pass, House Bill 1582 do pass, House Bill 1583 do pass, House Bill 1584 do pass, Senate Bill 632 do pass, Senate Bill 635 do pass, Senate Bill 637 do pass, and Senate Bill 638 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Anderson of the 24th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Ms. Secretary, will you please read bills and resolutions for the second time?
House Bill 1 by Representative Bonner of the 72nd and others, forming Open and Robust University Minds Forum Act, enact. House Bill 203 by Representative Petrie of the 166th and others, special license plates, Tybee Island Historical Society, established. House Bill 263 by Representative Scroggins of the 14th and others, retirement benefits for judges and probate courts, revised method through which certain actuarial equivalents are determined. House Bill 302 by Representative Momtahan of the 17th and others, revenue and taxation, proceeds of local government regulatory fees used to pay for regulatory activity require. House Bill 478 by Representative Rich of the 97th and others, evidence, expert testimony in criminal cases, change rules. House Bill 554 by Representative Gunter of the 8th and others, property, revise when an action may operate as a lis pendens. House Bill 752 by Representative Cooper of the 43rd and others, Psychiatric Advance Directive Act, enact. House Bill 884 by Representative Belton of the 112th and others, professions and businesses, expedited licenses for military spouses, provisions. House Bill 896 by Representative Crowe of the 110th and others, revenue and taxation, update population grant bracket and census date for certain property tax exemption for certain leased property. House Bill 934 by Representative Leverett of the 33rd and others, sales and use tax, special district mass transportation, local government provisions. House Bill 937 by Representative Henderson of the 113th, Medicaid coverage for annual mammograms at no cost to recipient provide. House Bill 972 by Representative Belton of the 112th and others, professional counselors, licensing requirements, change certain definitions. House Bill 997 by Representative Watson of the 172nd and others, ad valorem tax, timber equipment and timber products held by timber producers, provide exemption. House Bill 1004 by Representative Maynard of the 56th and others, education, unified campus police forces through agreements entered into by colleges and universities, provide for establishment. House Bill 1009 by Representative Jones of the 25th, motor vehicles, use of personal delivery devices to transport cargo, authorize. House Bill 1034 by Representative Widerer of the 119th and others, sales and use tax, exemption for sales of admissions to non-recurring major sporting events, revise. House Bill 1041 by Representative Perkle of the 155th and others, income tax, tax credits for contributions to rural hospital organizations, increase aggregate limit. House Bill 1044 by Representative Perkle of the 155th and others, local government, creation of regional development authorities, provide. House Bill 1053 by Representative Stevens of the 164th and others, income tax, certain expenditures made by post-production companies, extend tax credit. House Bill 1055 by Representative Ridley of the 6th and others, motor vehicles, revised definition of all-terrain vehicle. House Bill 1056 by Representative Hill of the 3rd and others, Georgia Firefighters Pension Fund, authority to make alternative investments, repeal certain restrictions. House Bill 1058 by Representative Williamson of the 115th and others, income tax, affiliated corporations file separate or consolidated returns, provisions. House Bill 1103 by Representative Chokas of the 138th and others, motor vehicle, heavy-duty equipment, motor vehicle, revised definition. House Bill 1178 by Representative Bonner of the 72nd and others, Parent Bill of Rights Act. Enact. House Bill 1194 by Representative Crowe of the 110th. Motor vehicles, federal regulations regarding safe operation of commercial motor vehicles and carriers, update reference date. House Bill 1216 by Representative McDonald of the 26th and others, traffic offenses, enhanced penalties for violations of fleeing or attempting to elude a police officer, provide. House Bill 1219 by Representative Houston of the 107th and others, Georgia Board of Dentistry, revised composition. House Bill 1234 by Representative Bollinger of the 23rd and others, juvenile proceedings, right to an attorney for any child receiving extended care services from the Department of Family and Children's Services, provide. House Bill 1275 by Representative Rich of the 97th and others, local government, appointment of and removal of municipal court judges, revised provisions. House Bill 1279 by Representative Gamble of the 15th and others, controlled substances, certain persons to carry prescription medications in a compartmentalized container, authorized. House Bill 1280 by Representative Lim of the 99th and others, revenue and taxation, county tax commissioner duties, revised provisions. House Bill 1288 by Representative Taylor of the 173rd and others, state employees assurance department, assignment of certain group term life insurance benefits, provide. House Bill 1294 by Representative Corbett of the 174th and others, property, timing of sending notice when an abandoned mobile home has been determined to be derelict, provide. House Bill 1295 by Representative Corbett of the 174th and others, Quality Basic Education Act, Group of Performance Evaluation Ratings, remove needs development rating. House Bill 1343 by Representative Clark of the 147th and others, military requirement of Adjutant General to publish personal information of commissioned officers of the organized militia, eliminate. House Bill 1344 by Representative Clark of the 147th and others, public officers and employees, updated language requiring spouses of armed forces service members, provide. House Bill 1348 by Representative Rich of the 97th and others, Georgia Smoke-Free Air Act, revised. House Bill 1350 by Representative Wade of the 9th and others, wills, trust, and administration of states, executors to send notices to beneficiaries regarding filing of petitions to probate wills, require. House Bill 1355 by Representative Dempsey of the 13th and others, Childhood Lead Exposure Control Act, revised. House Bill 1358 by Representative Bollinger of the 23rd and others, Chairman John Meadows Act, enact. House Bill 1382 by Representative Stevens of the 164th and others, local government required directors to do yearly continuing education. House Bill 1383 by Representative Walensky of the 79th and others, Fair Employment Practices Act of 1978, hearing before an administrative law judge, provide. House Bill 1384 by Representative Jenkins of the 132nd and others, Buildings and Housing, amend Georgia State minimum standard codes to authorize certain uses of ungraded lumber, require. House Bill 1405 by Representative Roberts of the 52nd and others, the Zoning Procedures Law, revise. House Bill 1433 by Representative Bollinger of the 23rd and others, Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, revise and update composition of advisory board. House Bill 1438 by Representative Thomas of the 24th and others, Transportation Department of meetings for election of board members, amend notice provisions. House Bill 1443 by Representative Gaines of the 117th and others, mobile food service establishments operate in county of origin or other counties without an additional permit, provide. House Bill 1452 by Representative Gaines of the 117th and others. Domestic Relations, Dating Violence Protective Orders, Revised Provision. House Bill 1455 by Representative Hitchens of the 161st and others. Georgia Ports Authority, provide for powers of authority. House Bill 1516 by Representative Gaines of the 117th and others. Georgia Music Hall of Fame Authority, provide for definitions, provisions. House Bill 1520 by Representative Hawkins of the 27th and others. Georgia Council on Addressing Healthcare Workforce Challenges, create. That completes the order, Mr. President.
It's now time for our morning roll call. It is now time for our morning roll call. Are there any motions to excuse? The chair recognizes the majority whip.
Good morning, Mr. President. I'd like to ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 3rd off of the coast of Georgia.
Without objection, the senator from the 3rd is excused. The chair recognizes the senator from the 33rd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, y'all. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the following senators for business outside the Capitol: 22, 12, and 11. Well, yeah.
Say that one more time.
22 and 11.
Not 12.
Yes, sir. Not 12.
Without objection, the senators from the 22nd and the 11th are excused. Chair recognizes the senator from the 6th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 5th.
Without objection, the senator from the 5th is excused. The chair recognizes the senator from the 21st.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 27th for business inside the Capitol.
Without objection, the senator from the 27th is excused. Are there any additional motions to excuse? Secretary will call the roll. Senators, signify your presence by voting the yea switch. The secretary will unlock the machine. It's now time for our morning devotional, the best time of the day. All senators, please take your seats and cease all audible conversations. Ask that the doorkeepers secure the chamber. Throw down the deadbolts if they're not out. Lock them in. It's my honor to recognize the senator from the 14th to lead us in our pledge and to introduce to us our chaplain of the day.
Thank you. Good morning. Please join me in honoring our flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now our Georgia flag.
I pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag and to the principles for which it stands, wisdom, justice, and moderation.
Good morning, senators. Today we're honored to have Sheila Keefe with us. Sheila is the care and outreach pastor at His Hands Church in Woodstock, Georgia. She's been the wife to Jason Keefe for 35 years. Together they have 2 daughters, 1 son, 2 sons-in-law, and 2 grandsons. She moved to Georgia at 9 years old after living in Lowndes County for 34 years. Once she moved to Cherokee County, she began her residency there for the last 10. She's been working in ministry over 30 years and has been an ordained minister for the past 20. Her passion in life is to love, serve, and encourage all people, no matter their age, race, or economic background. She does this by serving people in her own community, as well as serving in a small village in Guatemala. She's a mentor and encourager to many younger pastors as they start their ministry careers. When she does take time off, she enjoys traveling our beautiful state and visiting local farms and farmers markets. On a personal note, Hannah, who many of you know that works on my campaign, and also you see her over here, is on the worship team in his hands, as well as Jenna. So both of these young ladies have the privilege of serving with her at his hands. Please give a warm welcome to Sheila Keith.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you so much, Senator Bruce Thompson and Mr. President. It's an honor and a privilege to be here today. As I look across this room and see all of your beautiful faces, I think, man, I could really talk about Jesus all day long. But lucky for you guys, when I speak, I'm known to be short and to the point. Sometimes people accuse me of being blunt, so we're going to get right to it today. I would like to start a devotion this morning by telling you a short story. As a young girl, I was called to love and serve others. I grew up with a compassionate heart and always wanting to help people. I was active in my community and in my church. As a young person, I was involved in a club called 4-H. I spent several summers at Camp Rock Eagle. One summer during a week at camp, we spent time here at the Capitol. I remember standing in this very room in the summertime. Nobody was here at the Capitol, but I remember standing here about 40 years ago. And that day, when I stood in this room, I realized just the importance of what went on in this room. I already loved the Lord, and I knew at that time when I was standing in this room that it was really important to pray for our leaders. So throughout my life, I've thought about that day, and I've prayed for my leaders. So I've prayed for many leaders, many just like you guys, throughout my life. So fast forward to today. So here I stand with the honor and the privilege to pray for all of you in person. The day that I was here 40 years ago, I felt like I would be back at some point to pray. But what's really funny about that is I thought I was going to come back to an empty room. I didn't think I'd come back to a room with people in it. So I think God's just full of surprises. But I asked the Lord, I said, why now? Why not earlier in my life? And he reminded me of a verse in Esther, and it's about a verse that talks about such a time as this, and I want to read this verse to you. It says, if you keep quiet at a time like this, God will deliver the Jews from some other source, but you and your relatives will die. What's more, who can say but God has brought you into this palace for such a time as this? And if you know the story of Esther, because of Esther's obedience, she saved her people. And she took a huge risk by going before the king when she was not invited. And the king found favor in Esther, and when he did that, that saved her people. So much like Esther, I find myself having to step outside of my comfort zone on a daily basis. A lot of the young people I work with call it getting outside of your box. So every morning, I find myself praying and asking God to be with me throughout the day, as I'm sure many of you guys do. You women and men, we all pray and ask the Lord to be with us. And God constantly reminds me that man may qualify, but he is the one who equips. He has me and you right where he wants us each and every day for such a time as this. Frankly, by living in the unknown and outside of our boxes each day, it keeps us relying on him. My qualifications may say that I deserve to be here, but that doesn't mean I'm equipped. My challenge to each of you today is, while you may feel qualified to be here, remember who equipped you. We are here to encourage and uplift each other. Mind you, I didn't say agree with each other. We do not have to agree to uplift and encourage each other. Be mindful of those around you. The Bible talks about friendships, and Jesus had many friends. Friends are important. We can disagree, be friends, and have unity. It's kind of like this. I can like sweet tea, you can like unsweet tea, but we both like tea, we have something in common. Well, everybody in this room has something in common, all of you. All of you are here to make our lives better. You're here to make our beautiful state better and the lives of our citizens better. Each of you here this session is by no mistake. You are here by no doing of your own. You are here because it is your such a time as this. The privilege each of us has to do what God has called us to do is far bigger than ourselves. We must remember to rely on God and not try to do it on our own. We also need to remember to rely on each other. Let's use this day and all the days of our lives to walk together, arm in arm, not be distracted by the things that really don't mean very much in the grand scheme of things. Let's walk forward in our callings, in our missions, and most importantly, let's walk together in love for one another. Okay, so we're going to pray. Father, thank you so much for this beautiful day. I want to thank you for the privilege of living in the United States of America. We ask that you guide and direct our president and all those that work alongside him. Lord, we ask you to bless our state. Father, today as these senators are here in this room making decisions, I ask that you guide them. Father, that you give them the wisdom that they need to make them. Father, protect them, bless them, and give them favor in their lives. We ask that you protect our citizens, and Father, help each of us to look out for one another. Lord, provoke us to love one another. Lord, bless each of us. And Father, as I close this prayer, I ask that you help each one of us to walk together in peace and unity. Lord, protect us this day and all the days we shall live. Amen. Y'all have a great day. Thank you.
Are there any unanimous consents? The chair sees none. Are there any senators that wish to rise on a point of personal privilege? Chair recognizes the senator from the 36th. Ms. Secretary, will you please read the caption to a privilege resolution?
Senate Resolution 797, a resolution recognizing and commending Judy Davis Walker and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. Chair now recognizes the senator from the 36th to speak to the resolution.
Thank you, Governor and colleagues. I am pleased to introduce Senate Resolution 797, which we have just passed, recognizing and commending Judy Davis Walker. Whereas Judy Davis, raised in New York City, majored in political science at the University of Georgia, earning her bachelor's degree in urban planning from Georgia State University. Judy Davis was a 1975 graduate of the University of Georgia's Operation Catch-Up program, which was specifically designed to encourage more women and minorities to pursue law enforcement as a career choice. And whereas Judy Davis entered the field of law enforcement and made history by becoming the first black full-time officer in the Roswell Police Department, whereas Judy Davis was the first black female police officer to serve in the Fulton County Police Department, recruited by the late Fulton County Commissioner Henry H.D. Dodson, and serving the Southside Precinct until her resignation in 1981. Whereas as the first black female in the department, Officer Walker faced many challenges, including both racial and sexual harassment, she endured and upheld her oath as a peace officer while making a difference in the multiple diverse communities of Fulton County, focusing on deterrence to incarceration by encouraging positive alternatives. As an early practitioner of community policing, she often received performance evaluations saying she should be in public relations rather than law enforcement. Whereas Judy Davis became Judy Davis Walker in 1980 and is a proud mother of 2 sons and 3 grandchildren, and whereas in 1981, Officer Walker made history for the second time as the first Fulton County police officer to give birth while employed, leading to her resignation to become a stay-at-home mother, followed by an illustrious career in insurance and financial services. And whereas Judy Davis Walker, a resident of 40 years in Atlanta's Oakland City neighborhood, is a community leader and activist, a member of Delta Sigma Theta sorority, and a longtime president of the Oakland City Neighborhood Association, among many other leadership roles, including serving in her neighborhood planning unit and serving the Fort McPherson Local Redevelopment Authority. Therefore, now be it resolved by the Senate, members of this body recognize and commend Judy Davis Walker for her service to protect others and build a resilience of her community, and for her history-making role as one of the earliest black women engaged in law enforcement in the state of Georgia. Be it further resolved, the Secretary of State is authorized to make an appropriate copy of this resolution available for distribution to Judy Davis Walker. We are so pleased to recognize Officer Walker, Judy Davis Walker, who is with us today in the balcony with family and friends, and acknowledge the groundbreaking role that she played in bringing a diverse face to the law enforcement community of Georgia, one of the earliest black females and females to be in law enforcement decades ago. We thank you, we salute you, and I so appreciate the work that you've done with the Local Redevelopment Authority of Fort McPherson, being a tireless advocate for communities there and across our city. Please join me today in congratulating Judy Davis Walker for this recognition. Thank you, and I yield the well.
Chair recognizes the pro tem. For the purpose of a point of personal privilege and a privilege resolution, Mr. Secretary, will you please read the caption?
Senate Resolution 436 by Senator Millers and others, recognizing and commending Jesse Will Thompson, whereas Jesse Will Thompson has a long and consistent record of service, and whereas he joined the Secretary of Senate staff in 1988 under the leadership of Secretary Hamilton McWhorter, retiring as a Senate print shop manager in September 21 after 33 years of distinguished service. And whereas a man of deep and abiding faith, Jesse serves as chairman of the First Mount Selah Deacon Board. Whereas he is united in love and marriage with his wife Pamela and is blessed with 3 remarkable children. And whereas this distinguished gentleman has given inspiration to many through his high ideals, morals, and deep concern for his fellow citizens. And whereas it is abundantly fitting and proper that the outstanding accomplishments of this extraordinary individual be appropriately commended and recognized. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body recognize and commend Jesse Will Thompson for his many valuable contributions on behalf of the citizens of Georgia and extend best wishes for the future. That completes the order.
Is there objection to adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. Chair recognizes the pro tem to speak to the privilege resolution.
Mr. President, it'd be my absolute pleasure. I would first like to ask Jesse and his family to come out here and join me. Jesse, bring your wife Pamela and Jeremy and Jocelyn, and y'all give them a round. And his sister Phyllis, and Mother Dorothy. Good heavens. Who's at home tending the chickens? Step right up here, Jesse. All right. If there are those of you in this chamber that have not gotten to know this gentleman, you have missed something in life. This is a man who always has a smile, always has a spring in his step, and a song in his heart. He has such a servant to his fellow man and has made such an impact on this chamber, on the lives of the individuals in this chamber for many, many years, up until, and you retired in 2021. Yes, sir. After 33 years, and you started here with Hamilton McWhorter. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Hamilton, those of you who don't know, Hamilton McWhorter came over with Oglethorpe. Jesse, we love you, we appreciate you, and we're sorry that it took us so long to have you and your family here, but with COVID restrictions and protocols and so forth, we had to be very, very cautious. And I'd like for you to say a word if you like.
Okay. To everyone that it takes to make this great body, it's been an honor and a privilege to be able to serve you all for the last 33 years. I have met some good people, and this friendship will last a lifetime. So I'd like to thank you all for thinking about me on this occasion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jesse. Here, hold it up, brother. He'll get a picture of it. We'll go back out that way. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 56th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm very excited to be here today. Each one of you on your desk has your very own orange Home Depot apron. We have a very, very special guest with us today here over to my right. We have got with us Craig Manier and his wife Dawn, who reside in East Cobb County. Craig served as the Chief Executive Officer for Home Depot for the last 7 years, just stepped down March the 1st, and still remains the chairman of the board. He's been with Home Depot since 1997. His leadership of the world's largest home improvement retailer, which we are so proud of here in the state of Georgia, has led to tremendous growth and change in Georgia and across the nation. As many of you know, Home Depot's first 2 stores were opened in Atlanta back in 1979. While the 60,000 square foot warehouses offered more than any other hardware store, the heart of Home Depot, what was their expertly trained staff, the floor associates who's helped each one of us when we've been in and out of the stores over the many years. Associates are really the crown jewel of Home Depot. Home Depot then began offering do-it-yourself clinics. In fact, many of us brought our kids there to get their first aprons and their pins and collected them as they learned lifelong skills. At the end of 1979, the Home Depot had 3 stores and 200 associates with an average weekly sales of $81,000. Fast forward to 2022, Home Depot now employs more than 500,000 associates, and over 38,000 of them reside right here in Georgia. The Home Depot has grown from 2 Atlanta stores to 2,300 stores nationwide and Canada and Mexico. 90 of those stores are right here in Georgia. Home Depot continues to invest in Georgia. In the last 2 years, they opened up 3 large distribution centers, creating over 1,000 new Georgia jobs. The success of the Home Depot is attributed to its leader, and Craig, as a CEO, took Home Depot to all new heights, and we are forever grateful. During your tenure, he didn't just sell lots of tools, but he did so much more in his commitment to giving back to veterans and pledging $500 million to veteran causes by the year 2025. They've already crossed the 400 million mark just last year. Never wavering from the company's core value, Craig shepherded the Home Depot through unprecedented uncertainty during the COVID-19 pandemic, supporting associates with $2 billion in COVID-related benefits. Craig spearheaded the expansion of Home Depot's delivery capabilities with the goal of achieving 90% of the U.S. population with the same-day or next-day shipping. He made a number of strategic acquisitions, leading to the company to $150 billion in sales, which is truly extraordinary, one of the nation's largest. He made sure our elections offices were safely staffed by donating plexiglass shield to every polling location that needed it and allowed times for the associates to volunteer at their local polling locations. So on behalf of the State Senate, we are so excited and thrilled and thankful for your service, Craig, and we continue to support you in your role as chairman of the board and appreciate your investment and commitment to the state of Georgia. God bless you. Thank you.
I want to echo the comments of the senator from the 56th. Thank you so much for all that your company has done and your leadership throughout some very difficult times. Thank you so much for the commitment to Georgia. Thank you very much. Chair recognizes the senator from the 2nd to speak to a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to present to some and introduce to others the Deep Center organization out of Savannah, Georgia. They represent 700 young people that's based in Savannah and around other cities in this great state. The Deep Center organization using writing, art, and cultural to fuel the creative fires of Savannah's young people and Georgia's young people in this great state. Deep Center helped them by connecting their learning skills to their lives, their learning skills to help their community, and their learning skills to use their actions to transformation of change. These young people that were in the gallery, they just left now, but they come across this great state to look at ways as middle schoolers and high schoolers, how they can change Georgia and how they can eventually change America. They want to be involved. They try to be involved using their writing skills, their art skills, and their culture to talk about transformation, making this a better society. I present to you the Deep Center organization that's in our gallery this morning. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 29th for a point of personal privilege.
Senators, I rise today to recognize my mother, Elizabeth Cobb Robertson, on her 80th birthday. She has celebrated the last 15 of her birthdays in heaven with my father, and she was recently joined by her big sister, my Aunt Pearlie. And on my mother's 80th birthday, I want to thank her for raising her 2 daughters and her son and multiple other children who found our home a haven when either they lost their parents or they were asked to leave their home. My mother was a strong single mom. She worked third shift at a factory in Manchester, Georgia, and she worked 20 hours a week at a fast food restaurant in Columbus to make sure that my sisters and I got what we needed. She raised me, as I've told people, somewhere between the Bible and the belt, and I think she did an exceptional job for what she had to work with. She taught me to be passionate. She taught me to stand up for what is right. She taught me to be good to those who were not as fortunate as I was. And as a teenager, sometimes I didn't feel very fortunate, but as an adult, in seeing other people in distress, I realized how blessed I was that had a mother that loved her children, loved her community, and loved Jesus Christ. So to my mother in heaven today, I say happy 80th birthday, and keep your eye on me so I keep my eye on what's important. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
For what purpose does the senator from the 28th rise? Chair recognizes the senator from the 28th. Chair recognizes the senator from Noonan. For the purposes of excusing the senator from the 27th.
Mr. President, false alarm.
Accepted. You have a consent calendar of privileged resolutions before you. Does any senator wish to remove a resolution from the consent calendar? Is there objection to adoption of the resolutions on the consent calendar? The chair hears none, and the resolutions on the consent calendar are adopted. Are there any motions to withdraw and commit? You have a consent calendar of local bills before you. Mr. Secretary, are there any objections filed to any bills on the local consent calendar?
Mr. President, there are no objections filed.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 17th.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent to be excused from voting on the local consent calendar pursuant to Senate Rule 5-1.8D.
Senator from the 17th is asked for unanimous consent to be excused from this vote on the local consent calendar. Is there objection? The chair hears none, and you are so excused. Is there objection to agree in the report of the Committee on State and Local Government, which is favorable to the passage of the bills on the local calendar? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. The questions on the passage of the bills on the local calendar. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bills on the local calendar, the yeas are 48, the nays are 1, and the bills having received the requisite constitutional majority are therefore passed. Is this another false alarm? Chair would like to recognize the senator from the 28th.
Thank you, Mr. President. As fate would have it, I now need to ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 27th for business inside the Capitol.
Without objection, the senator from the 27th is excused. Chair recognizes the majority leader for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent that the bills that were passed on the local consent calendar be immediately transmitted to the House.
The majority leader has asked for unanimous consent that the bills just passed on the local calendar be immediately transmitted to the House. Is there objection? The chair hears none, and those bills are immediately transmitted. All right, we'll now take up the confirmation of appointments submitted by the governor to the various boards and commissions submitted to the Senate on January 13th, 2022, and on February 24th, 2022. In addition, we'll also consider the appointments made to the Judicial Qualifications Commission by the governor, the President of the Senate, the Speaker of the House, and the Supreme Court. The list of those appointments are on your desk for consideration. The chair would now like to recognize the Majority Leader for a motion.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that Senate Rule 3-3.1 be suspended to allow the Senate to consider confirmation on appointments received after the 10th legislative day.
The Majority Leader has asked for unanimous consent that the rules be suspended to allow for consideration of appointments submitted to the Senate after the 10th legislative day. Is there objection? The chair hears none, and we will proceed to consider all of the appointments. The chair continues to recognize the Majority Leader for an additional motion.
Mr. President, I now ask for unanimous consent that the reading of the names of the governor's appointments to the various boards, authorities, and commissions, as well as appointments to the Judicial Qualification Commission, be dispensed with, since they have been printed and placed on the desk.
The Majority Leader has asked for unanimous consent to dispense with the reading of the names of the appointments, since those appointments have been placed on your desk. Is there objection? The chair hears none, and the reading of the names of the appointees is dispensed with. The chair continues to recognize the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent now that one roll call suffice to confirm all appointments unless a senator designates that an appointee be removed from the list and voted on individually.
The Majority Leader has requested that one roll call suffice to confirm all the appointments. Is there objection? The chair hears none, and we will vote on all the appointments with one roll call. For what purpose does the senator from the 31st rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 29th for business inside the Capitol.
Without objection, the senator from the 29th is excused. The chair, for what purpose does the senator from the 28th rise?
Parliamentary Inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Mr. President, does it matter if the home county was misspelled for one of the nominees?
Say that again.
Does it matter if the home county was misspelled for one of the nominees?
Ruling of the chair is that it's just a clerical error, and we can vote through it. Chair recognizes the Majority Leader for an additional motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I understand that's how Fort Valley became the town of Fort Valley, was a clerical error. So I trust you, though. Mr. President, I move that the governor's appointees to the various boards, commissions, and authorities and appointments to the Judicial Qualification Commission be confirmed as submitted.
Does the Majority Leader wish to speak to that motion?
I do not.
He waives. Would any other senator wish to speak to the motion? The question now is on the confirmation of the governor's appointments to the various boards, commissions, and on the appointments to the Judicial Qualifications Commission. All those in favor will vote yea. Opposed, nay. The Secretary will unlock the machine. On the motion to confirm all of the appointments, the yeas are 51, the nays are 2, and the appointments are confirmed. We are now going to move on to the rules calendar. Mr. Secretary, can you please read the caption of House Bill 1481?
House Bill 1481, a bill by Representative Jaspers of the 11th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 40-2-38 of the OCGA relating to registration and licensing of manufacturers, distributors, and dealers of issuance of manufacturer headquarters, distributor, and dealer plates so as to provide for standards of issuance of dealer license plates and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Regulated Industries and Utilities recommend that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Cowser of the 46th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the pro tem to speak to House Bill 1481.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm bringing to you House Bill 1481.
Please stand by for a moment. I know we've got a busy day and there's a lot to talk about, but we have moved on to the rules calendar, and it is our obligation to hear this gentleman in the well present this measure and then have an opportunity to vote. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. House Bill 1481.
Hold on 1 second. Take your conversations off the Senate floor unless they're phrased in the form of a question to the senator in the well. We're here to take up the rules calendar. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. House Bill 1481 simply sets used car dealer tags at a rate that was applicable prior to the pandemic, and it sunsets on January 1, 2025. If there are no questions, I'll yield the well.
You don't appear to have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against House Bill 1481? The chair sees none. Is there objection to agreeing the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill? All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 54, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Ms. Secretary, can you please read the caption of House Bill 1292?
House Bill 1292, a bill by Representatives Jaspers of the 11th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 20 of the OCGA relating to education so as to prohibit students who participate in 4-H-sponsored activities or programs from being counted as absent from school and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Education and Youth recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Payne of the 54th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 7th to present House Bill 1292.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, this bill would simply create language to allow 4-H students to participate in 4-H activities, and that would have to be an excused absence by school systems in this state. If there are no questions, Mr. President, I will yield the well.
You don't appear to have any questions.
Thank you, sir.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against House Bill 1292? The chair sees none. Is there objection to agreeing the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill? All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 54, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Ms. Secretary, can you please read the caption of House Bill 1134?
House Bill 1134, a bill by Representatives Ostration of the 104th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 16-15-4 of the OCGA relating to participation in criminal gang activity prohibited, so as to provide for the concurrent authority of prosecuting attorneys and the Attorney General to prosecute offenses involving criminal gang activity and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Judiciary recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Strickland of the 17th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 18th to present House Bill 1134.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues. I am pleased to bring you House Bill 1134. As many of you know, because we've heard the stories from our home districts and from constituents about the problem we have in Georgia with gangs and violent crime and how that impacts all the communities across Georgia, and they are a true threat to our safety. The FBI data for 2020 shows that homicides are up nearly 30% nationally, and in Georgia, the Georgia Gang Investigators Association estimates that there are over 1,500 criminal street gangs in Georgia, that there's over 71,000 active gang members across our state, and an average of 60% of violent crimes committed are gang motivated. The Commissioner of the Department of Corrections noted, as of last month, the overall offender population totals more than 45,000 folks. The inmate breakdown is 73% violent versus 27% nonviolent, and more than 14,000 offenders have a validated gang affiliation. The communities most impacted by these types of crime are often lower income, racially diverse, and immigrant populations. We believe all Georgians deserve to be safe. So the steps that have already been taken to address the rise in gang crimes include the governor and the legislature have invested a significant amount of resources, including the creation, you will remember, that you hopefully participated in, of the GBI's Gang Task Force. This has provided the state with the much needed investigative resources. And in fact, the GBI alone investigated 446 gang-related cases across 100 Georgia counties in 2021 alone. So, what about the solution moving forward? Now, a gang prosecution unit in the Attorney General's office is needed to ensure that these types of cases do get prosecuted. The governor's budget contains the necessary funding for a gang prosecution unit, and we need to provide it with the necessary authority to do their job. Under this bill, the Attorney General's jurisdiction would be concurrent, and that's the key to this, friends, concurrent with the district attorneys, just like it is with the Human Trafficking Prosecution Unit. This model has already proven to be highly successful in dealing with some of the worst of the crimes. The 4 areas that we believe the gang prosecution unit would be successful is, number 1, multi-jurisdictional gang cases. We know that gang cases don't stop at the circuit line, and folks, some of the gangs operate in a very sophisticated manner today over a large geographic footprint. That makes it difficult for our district attorneys who do have geographical confinements to make sure that they can prosecute in the way that it needs to be prosecuted. Second, working with with the support of the DAs in gang prosecutions, particularly in smaller circuits that don't have the resources that might be necessary to go after the challenges of a very sophisticated gang unit. And also to prosecute gang activity within the corrections system. Sadly, some of the most sophisticated gang operations are doing so inside our prisons. And this often goes unprosecuted because the criminal is already behind bars. And finally, 4, where certain district attorneys are choosing not to enforce the law. This authority would provide a necessary backstop for that, for a safer day and a safer future for our Georgians against gang activity. Mr. President, I'll be happy to answer any questions, or I'll yield the way.
You have a few questions. The chair recognizes the senator from the 56th to your left.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will Senator yield?
I certainly do, for my friend from the 56th.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Isn't it true with concurrent jurisdiction, we're not taking anything away from locals, we're actually making it additive, especially for more statewide cases? Is that not true?
It is true, Senator, and thank you for the question. You're exactly right, and as I said in my comments, that's critical for us to understand. It's concurrent jurisdiction, and it's the best of both worlds in that no one's authority is being infringed upon, but we're bringing added resources where they're needed.
Thank you, Senator. One more question, if you would. Last question would be, knowing that there's an extraordinary amount of violent crime that's being committed by gang activity, and today we're only prosecuting about 5%. This will give the Attorney General, who has led with the governor, as well as the gang task force, the ability to really go in there and make a meaningful difference for hardworking Georgians. Is that not true?
It's very true, Senator, and thank you for that point. And I want to commend our Attorney General and the work that he's done on this area with regard to gang activity in Georgia. And of course, that's been fully supported by our governor as well. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 29th for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Does Senator yield?
Happily for my friend.
Senator, is it not true that currently we have district attorneys throughout the state of Georgia that are having to conflict out on these cases for multiple reasons?
Senator, you're absolutely right, and that's become a rather acute problem in the last election cycle.
And do you continue to yield?
Yes, sir.
And isn't it true that your legislation, when passed, will be able to handle the problem in relation to gang-related crimes, that the Attorney General's office will be able to step in there and prosecute those cases to the full extent of the law in spite of the conflict?
That's absolutely right, Senator, and thank you for the question.
And does Senator yield for one last question?
Yes, sir.
Senator, is it not true that I sat in on a Buckhead Task Force meeting this past week with the city of Atlanta, where it was stated by the Fulton County District Attorney's Office that up to 70% of all violent crimes being committed in the state of Georgia now are gang-related?
That is true, Senator, and I want to thank you personally for your work in making sure that this body has a focus on law enforcement and doing what we can to make sure that Georgians are safe. I appreciate your leadership that you've exhibited both in our caucus and in this chamber.
And thank you, sir, and I want to thank you for carrying such important legislation that protects the men, women, and children of Georgia.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Do you continue to yield?
Yes, sir, I do.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 32nd for a question.
Thank you. Would the senator yield?
I certainly do, for my friend from the 32nd.
Senator, isn't it true that this authority is modeled after the human trafficking authority that the AG has?
It is, Senator. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. It is modeled very much after that, which is, you know, Senator, been a resounding success for the people of Georgia.
And would you yield for one more?
Yes, I do.
And isn't it true that already this year there have been over 100 victims rescued under that statute and 15 indictments just in 2022?
That's absolutely right, Your Honor. Your Honor.
That's your other job.
That's my other. Sorry, different hat, different job. Thank you, Senator, for that. And you're absolutely right. And I think that is a great compliment to, if you will, and an homage to what our governor and the Attorney General has led on other areas of critical need in keeping Georgians safe. And thank you for those stats. Those are very encouraging.
You have no additional questions.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would urge and beg for your favorable support for House Bill 1134. And with that, I'll yield the will.
Any other senator wish to speak for or against House Bill 1134? The chair sees none. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. Question on the passage of the bill. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 50, the nays are 5. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Secretary, can you please read the caption of House Bill 246?
House Bill 246, a bill by Representatives Watson of the 172nd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 5 of Title 40 of the OCGA relating to driver's licenses so as to increase the fee for issuance of replacement licenses and permits, to increase the fee for issuance and renewal of limited driving permits, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Public Safety recommend that this bill do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Albers of the 56th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Public Safety offer the following substitute to House Bill 246, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 5 of Title 40 of the OCGA relating to driver's licenses so as to increase the fee for issuance of replacing licenses and permits, and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 56th to speak to House Bill 246.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a relatively simple bill. It simply raises the fees for replacement or renewal of a driver's license from $5 to $10, and for an initial permit, it raises it from $25 to $32. This is not an increase in order to tax people. It is simply to cover the cost of the licenses. This has not been updated in decades, and we don't want to necessarily have all the taxpayers helping to pay for other people's driver's license. Pretty straightforward. If there are no questions, I will yield the well.
You have a question. Chair recognizes the senator from the 35th to your left for a question.
Thank you. Will the senator yield?
Always from my friend.
Thank you so much. I just want to know, why would we raise the cost for replacements? If someone loses their license, they got to pay twice as much to get a new one?
Well, because the cost to the state is that much money. As you can imagine, over the last many decades, it costs more than just a couple of dollars in order to actually make a driver's license. With the onset of the Real ID Act, as you're aware, there's numerous holograms and other things. And what we don't want to do is having the rest of Georgia subsidize somebody else who lost a driver's license. So this doesn't make the state any money. It just covers the cost of the license.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You don't appear to have any more questions.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd ask for your favorable consideration.
Any other senator wish to speak for or against House Bill 246? The chair sees none. The question's on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee sub? Chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agree in the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. What purpose does the senator from the 18th rise? For what purpose does the senator from the 18th rise? Senator from the 19th answered your question. Senator from the 7th answered your question. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 41, the nays are 12. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. Ms. Secretary, can you please read the caption of House Bill 1425?
House Bill 1425, a bill by Representatives Werkheiser of the 157th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 9 of Chapter 12 of Title 16 of the OCGA relating to access to medical cannabis so as to authorize the governor to issue initial Class 1 and Class 2 production licenses for a limited time period and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Health and Human Services recommend that this bill do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Watson of the 1st District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Health and Human Services offer the following substitute to House Bill 1425, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 9 of Chapter 12 of Title 16 of the OCGA relating to access to medical cannabis so as to provide for information to be provided to the Medical Cannabis Commission Oversight Committee to require the Commission to issue initial Class 1 and Class 2 production licenses by a state certain and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
The chair recognizes the senator from the 1st to present House Bill 1425. I would encourage every senator to cease all audible conversations and to pay attention to the senator in the well.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am presenting House Bill 1425, but this is the exact same bill that we passed, we passed out of the Senate in the form of Senate Bill 609. So basically, this expands the information that available to the public, and it also requires the commission to get your job done by May 31st. We passed it out unanimously, Senate Bill 609. This is the same exact bill. I would ask for your favorable consideration and be happy to answer any questions.
You don't appear to have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against House Bill 1425? The chair sees none. The questions on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to adoption of the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 53, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. Ms. Secretary, can you please read the caption of House Bill 1059?
House Bill 1059, a bill by Representatives Gamble of the 15th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 24 of Title 33 of the OCGA relating to insurance generally, so as to provide for exclusions to unfair trade practices and unlawful inducements to allow an insurer or insurance provider to offer or provide a value-added product or service under certain conditions and for the purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Insurance and Labor recommend that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Burke of the 11th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
The chair recognizes my good friend, the senator from the 20th, to present House Bill 1059.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I bring to you House Bill 1059. This allows insurance companies to offer loss mitigation products related to the insurance coverage their client has without violating the inducement clause or rebate. It allows them to stuff like water leak detection devices, driver sleep alerts, young driver training. Comes from the National Association of Insurance Commissioners, NAIC, their model law. 10 states have already passed similar legislation. So what it does is if an insurer or agent provides a product that is it's currently considered to be an illegal rebate, but this would allow loss mitigation products as long as they relate to the insurance coverage offered in a manner that is not unfairly discriminatory, have a cost reasonable in comparison to the insurance premiums, and be primarily designed to reduce claims. I'll be happy to answer any questions. If not, I ask for your favorable consideration.
You did so well presenting that. You have no questions.
All right, I yield the well. Thank you.
Any other senator wish to speak for or against House Bill 1059? The chair sees none. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 51, the nays are 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Secretary, please read the caption of House Bill 1308.
House Bill 1308, a bill by Representatives Williams of the 148th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 24 of Title 33 of the OCGA relating to insurance generally so as to allow a plan sponsor of a health benefit plan to consent on behalf of an enrollee to electric delivery of all communications related to the plan, allow the enrollee an opportunity to refuse or agree or to receive mailings electronically, and for the purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Insurance and Labor recommend that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Burke of the 11th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
The chair once again recognizes his good friend from the 20th to present House Bill 1308.
Thank you again, Mr. President. Colleagues, this House Bill 1308, another insurance bill, this deals with group health and group benefit plans, and it simply allows the plan sponsor, which is typically the employer, to opt in for electronic communication of documents to their employees. So it allows them to consent for on behalf of their employees. If the employee decides they want to have the paper copy still sent to them, mailed to them, they can opt back in, and it's got safeguards in there in case the insurance company realizes the employee, they have a bad email for the employee, they have to then begin mailing the documents to the employee. It's a cost saving and an efficiency measure. Hopefully it'll help keep our premiums from going up a little bit. So be happy to answer any questions on this measure. There's no opposition that I'm aware of to it.
You have no questions.
All right, I ask for your favorable consideration again. Thank you very much.
Any of the senator wish to speak for or against House Bill 1308? The chair sees none. Is there objection to agreeing with the report of the committee, which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 53, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed.
House Bill 464, a bill by
Ms. Secretary, will you please read the caption of House Bill 464?
House Bill 464, a bill by Representative Scroggins of the 14th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 29 of the OCGA relating to guardian and award, so as to provide for when a petition for the appointment of a temporary guardian of a minor filed in the probate court may be transferred from the probate court to the juvenile court, to revise the assessment of certain costs, compensation, fees, and expenses, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Judiciary recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Strickland of the 17th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the distinguished senator from the 53rd to present the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. My colleagues, this is a simple bill. Hooray, like they all been today. House Bill 464 will simply allow a probate judge to transfer a petition of temporary letter of guardianship of a minor to the juvenile court if the judge feels it's in the best interest of the child. Currently, they can't do that, but as you can imagine, sometimes these get complicated and sometimes they feel the judicial court would be the best place to make that decision. Mr. President, I'll yield for questions or I'll yield the well.
Oh, you've got questions. Chair recognizes the senator from the 47th. To your right.
Thank you, Mr. President. Would the senator yield?
Of course.
Can you tell me about that moral turpitude you keep talking about?
Yeah, you know, moral turpitude would be something that your mama would have taught you. And I'm sure that happened with you. Mr. President?
Yes, sir. You do not have any more questions.
All right, thank you.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against House Bill 464? The chair sees none. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. Question on the passage of the bill. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 53, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Secretary, can you please read the caption to House Bill 1461?
House Bill 1461, a bill by Representatives Anderson of the 10th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 36 of Title 36 of the OCGA relating to annexation of territory, so as to revise provisions relating to dispute resolution, to allow school systems to participate in the dispute resolution process, to require arbitration findings to be sent to the Department of Community Affairs, to provide for regular reports on arbitration findings, to revise per diems per arbitration panel members, to extend the period of a zoning freeze following an arbitration and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Judiciary recommend that this bill do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Strickland of the 17th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Judiciary offers the following substitute to House Bill 1461, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 36 of Title 36 of the OCGA relating to annexation of territory and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 50th to present House Bill 1461.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise today to present House Bill 1461. This bill is an improvement to the annexation arbitration process. This is in response to a joint study committee that was conducted over the summer. It has the support of GMA, ACCG. It passed the House 172 to nothing. Shouldn't be any opposition to this bill. It's a good bill for the people of the state of Georgia, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
You don't appear to have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the will.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against House Bill 1461? The chair sees none. The questions on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to adoption of the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 53, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. Chair recognizes the majority leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we stand in recess as we await a message from the House.
The majority leader has asked for unanimous consent that we stand in recess until we receive a message from the House. Is there objection? The chair hears none, and the Senate will stand in recess.